Hello guys, Brent here with Cuefeed. Today I got an interesting project. A customer called up and wanted to know if I could feed 25-inch padded bags. I'm not sure if I looked up. I don't want to say who the customer is. It looks like a major retailer, but these aren't just paper. There's some padding in there to protect the item. And as you can see, the bag's got a bevel, has a bevel to them, and they're really thick because the bottom's folded over. So it gives us a pretty good hump on one side. Now, I'm the first person to try to tell a customer, don't feed your product this way. With it like this, it gets difficult. However, the problem is a lot of customers have down the line solutions, and in this case, they are taping these. I'm not sure, but I think they're putting a string of sealing tape here, you know, so that you can peel it off and fold it over for the customer. I think that's what they're doing. I know they're taping them though, so I'm assuming that's probably what it is. So in this case, I needed to make an extra wide feeder. So this would be a model 25 because it feeds a 25-inch bag. And you may notice that this feeder is shorter. It's not as long as most of my feeders because this is not an on-demand feeder. This is a friction feeder, straight friction feeder. It's got an on and an off and a potentiometer for speed. That's it. Now, you may say, well, what is the application for those? Well, they are, most of my customers, this would not work. In fact, I have not been making these now for about 6 years. But I've added these now. I'm going to be adding it onto my website just so that it's an option. Because I do have another customer now that needs one of these. And there's no reason for me to have the extra acceleration belts and that are needed on an on-demand feeder. I'm not going to get into the engineering on that right now. So what happens here is when you feed these bags out, you don't have a lot of separation between the bags. Here we go. If you look at the video, it looks as though they're almost feeding non-stop without a break. And truthfully, they kind of are. So if you're running a direct mail line, or in their case, another conveyor belt, you run that conveyor belt faster. So with this conveyor belt, where my box here would be, running faster, as this one drops off, it takes off just as the one behind it drops down. So by speeding up this conveyor, you can control the gap in between your feeding. You cannot control the gap with my feeder. The gap is controlled with the downline machine. My normal feeders, the on-demand or demand feeders or staging feeders, those you can set your own gap. You can determine the gap yourself, plus you can feed something at an exact moment in time. Now, you could not put this feeder onto another solution that has an exact timing point. Like, let's say the conveyor belt has lugs on it. You got to land every time right in front of the lug. There's no timing on this. You just turn it on and it feeds. And even if you put a photo eye on it to turn it on, it's not going to be precise the way it starts and stops. I mean, I suppose you could get lucky once in a while, but that's not the way. So this downline machine, when you use feeders like this, when it drops it, this machine here will not start the tape machine or start the glue machine until a photo eye starts it. So whenever this lands, it triggers it so it lays the tape or the glue in the exact same place. So it doesn't matter if my feeder pauses for a brief second. Maybe it doesn't pull a bag. We're going to feed these and see how it goes. We're going to see if one takes a second for it to feed. But see, that will not affect the customer, because even if there's that slight pause, their machine keeps running and it doesn't shoot the tape or shoot the glue until one does feed and the eye sees it, if you understand that. Okay, one last thing I'd like to talk about setup. job specific is something that I say on all my engineering projects. And on occasion, we have customers that can get a little upset because they think they can just open the box and they don't have to do anything. They're very easy machines to run. However, I can't be every place at once, but my phone is always available and I'm always there to help customers iron things out if they're having trouble. Number one, don't get frustrated. Just give me a call because the answer to your problem is something simple. So in this case, when I go to set this up, as experienced as I am with these, I engineer them and make them. I had about 2 hours figuring out how to run this bag. I don't know, this company that bought this, they're all engineers, 150 of them. I actually am hired, about 30% of my business is building machines for other engineering companies, but they're trying to feed paper, and paper is a unique thing, and that's what I specialize in. I'm not saying they couldn't figure it out, but I needed to know if they called me and had a problem, exactly what to tell them. I'm not going to have a 26-inch machine sitting here. If they have a problem and it's something that we can't work out, I'm going to build me a 26-inch machine, probably take me a day. But I'll build one temporarily just so I can help them make videos. It'd be easier to do that than me to fly to New York City, to help them. But I want to know exactly how to set my different things up so that the bag feeds good. Because you got high on one end and it sits like this, as it goes to feed, the bag's going to want to, this end's going to want to come out. So what we've done here, instead of a back wedge, normally most machines come with a simple back wedge. Looks like this. And it sits back here, and you can adjust this plate, you can adjust this angle, and you can adjust it in and out. And what you're trying to do is bias the sheet. You want to hold the stack up so that all the weight is not sitting down on the belts. Now these are light and fluffy, so it's not that big of a deal. But most papers, when you're talking about like cover stock or whatever, it's all piled up, it gets heavy when there's this many. And all that weight sitting on the bottom one has a hard time pulling it because it's getting pinched. So the solution that people do is they put less in the feeder. Well, okay, I've done that now for the last 30 years, put less in the feeder. But if you know how to set the tail wedge up, you don't need to do that. You get the tail wedge set correctly, and you can fill your feeder all the way up. I'm not saying every time, but let me tell you, most times. In this case, that tail wedge ain't going to work. So that's when I get out my rods here, rod supports. And what I've done here, if I have a rod over here that's lifting up on this side, that's going to be low. And I got a rod back here as well, helping it here, just supporting this corner. So it's picking it up this way and a little bit this way. And there's one little rod over here you can't see that's putting a little pressure on it forwards. So that the weight of the stock sitting on it, plus it's hitting the slanted pieces, it's pushing the piece forward so that it gets pinched here under the friction feet so one feeds out. And also because I have 2 friction feet, we only need 1. But 2's nice, so we can, if it's feeding crooked, any sheet, we can adjust one or the other to straighten it out. And on any of my feeders, once it leaves right here straight, it's not going to get crooked again on its way out. There's no reason for side guides. Now, in this application, they have side guides on the next machine because, yes, these are going to be fairly consistent, but yeah, they might be a little, there might be a little movement here as they feed out, but it won't be much. But then they'll straighten it out with their side guides before it goes into the application. So anyways, so here we go. This is pretty good. This is, there's 50 bags in here. That's all they sent me. But I believe if I had 50 more, looking at the height here and here, this end here would be almost to the top of these. Plus I got some extra tall ones of these that might even work. But right now, I think they're only loading 200 and they're happy with that, or 100 or something. And I'm like, oh no, I can do, I'm sorry, these are 50. I think they said they're putting less than that in now, like 20s and 30s. But here's 50 of them. Another thing with friction feeders, you never want to let them run out and then just throw another pile back in them. You want to keep them loaded. You want to keep them loaded before they run out. Had a double there, and one double. I'm going to go ahead and let it run out, or get close to running out. Towards the end there, the last 5, it went in at an angle, came out at an angle a little bit. But like I said, the customer can straighten that out. I saw one double, and we ran, I think, close to 100 bags. Because I'm trying to pull these out, I wasn't looking at why we got the double. But of course, we can adjust our feet here a little bit so we don't get a double. But we don't want to go too far, because if we go too far, then I'll have trouble pulling. One thing I would like to add, when people send me stock, this job here took me about an hour before it was running okay, with me messing with different settings. And when I'm messing with it, and you know, we have some jam ups as I'm working on it, the front edge gets folded over like this. None of the bags are damaged, but what happens is they start to get soft right in here, different places. So then when I go to load fresh bags in, it runs a little bit different. So this is a bit, it gets a bit tricky, because the bags, once I ran them through like 5 and 6 times, although they're not damaged, if one of these has gotten wrinkled in that, when it goes to feed the next time, it's weak. It's weak there, so it's going to want to wrinkle there again. Now, but I didn't see that happening regardless. I didn't see any of them wrinkle. I saw a couple of them think about it, but they didn't. So I think all we had there was one double. So I'm going to go ahead and run these back through again. I don't think they're running near this fast. I think this feeder is running much faster than they are. I forgot to ask them what their speed was, but if they're running a tape machine on it, it's probably slower than that. So I'm going to slow it down just a hair. Let's see how we do here. Of course, slower, it's probably going to run better as well. I mean, I think that just goes without saying. We got a double there again. So I'm going to lower these down just a hair. That one. Adjust our feet down just a bit. Not much. I mean, I barely turned that. Okay. I'm gonna put. All right. So starting over again. Let's see. Let's see if we can go through the whole stack without getting any doubles. All we did was a slight adjustment here. You can see the lip once in a while catches, but it lays back down again. Got another double. I'm going to stop it now. Alright, so I lowered my feet down, and as you can see, that one there grabbed because it got a little bit tight. I'm going to show you something else here in a minute. So I'm going to stack these back up. Boy, this one here kind of got beat up, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get it to run without snagging. Alright, so I'm going to bump this forward. I'm going to raise this up a little bit. Okay, a couple things for the video here. Over here, I have a piece of a guide right here to help the paper get under the foot. I do not have one over here. I might need to add one. Also, you'll notice I eliminated the side guide over there. You might say, why'd you do that? With the other side guide, no matter how loose I made it, if it kicked at all, it got stuck on the sharp metal. So I'm going to use one side guide, and by over here having the slant holding it up and supporting it, not only are we helping to level it out, make it easier to feed, it can't go this way because it's hitting that. So that will keep it where it needs to be for feeding. So this is all, once again, whether I did it for a customer or not, it's all in make ready, you know. And then this here, I've had it everywhere from here all the way here to try to find a good place for this, because this, once again, because the bags are laying funny, it depends where I locate this and also where I locate these. Everything matters to get it to feed smooth. Okay, it's not feeding. All I'm going to do is lift up a little bit on the back, just wiggle it. It's going to jam up on us. Pull that out. Raised up on this one, lowered this one. Going to lower this one more, because we want it to stop feeding doubles. Looks pretty good. There's that wrinkled bag. That wrinkled bag went through, no problem. So that's good. Okay. Alright, here we go. Now, starting from scratch again, here's the whole set. Let's see if we can run without getting any doubles or any misfeeds. I'm going to raise this up a bit. We're basically almost not even using that. Almost. So far, everything looks good. I'm going to pull these away so don't jam up. That there was a double. Let these run out. Now these last three came out somewhat crooked. I'm not sure how their guides are, if that being that crooked would matter, but you don't want to run it out. Other than the last three, they all pretty straight. Now, I'm looking, you can put the feet over the belts or between the belts. Most of the time I put them over the belts. Sometimes I put them between the belts. Kind of feeling the resistance here. Alright, so I lowered this one down just a hair. Going to leave this one loose like it is. Alright, and to load it, the proper way to load one is to put one sheet in, move it forward until it's right up by the feet, and then put another one in, another one in. If you're using regular cardstock or something, you just take a small set and fan it so it's at an angle. Just fan it. Put those in. These big thick bags though, just put a couple in to get yourself going, and then you can load it up. We can also make a conveyor feed. so that you don't have to use a pile feed. And basically how that works, it's a continuous feed conveyor that you can keep adding on, and the conveyor works its way forward and just drops just a few bags of product into the hopper. That way you don't have this slanted pile issue. But you're talking about a lot more money. So I am making one of those for a company right now, but it's a fairly high dollar machine. All right, let's see how we go here. I lowered this down just a hair because we had one double. I think each time we had one double except for once or twice, but we don't want that. We don't want no doubles. Looking good. The ones that flip up, that's because they're soft from before. But no doubles, those aren't doubles. Almost done. About 5 more to go. When you get down to the last 5, that's where they come out a little bit. That's where they come out a little slanted. Now I can probably help that situation. So there were no doubles. Once these are set up, you're not going to get doubles. Not when they're set up correctly. You'll run all day. You'll batch count, feed. You're not going to have trouble with doubles. If you're feeding and get doubles every once in a while, you still shouldn't be getting doubles every once in a while. So you should look at your setup once again. All right, so I'm checking this out here. The height of these here are adjustable too as to how far down they come. Those also play a factor. So those very last ones kind of kill off this way. I'm going to take this arm here and move it out, and I'm going to adjust this here as well. Okay. So just out of curiosity, let's see. If I put a little longer arm on this, I could get this one over here a little bit farther. But right now, that's not long enough. And I'm not going to change it for the video. But let's see how we do here. I may change that for the customer, so he can get around the corner a little bit better. And let's see how we do here. I do think that I can probably put this many bags in here or so. I wish a customer would have sent me so I could test that. All right, let's see where we're at here. I did not do anything. I put my hand there for a second. I thought about it. But it's feeding good, and there's no reason to mess with it. I'm looking at the last few here, see if that helped over there. 3 more, 2 more. There you go. So it fed all of them out to the last one straight. They did go crooked just by slightly adjusting this out a little bit and over. But for the customer, I'll put a little bit longer arm on here so he can reach over here a little bit more, so he has more options. Coincidentally, I have one straight post here. And it just happens to be coincidental that the length of this bag, the way they sit here, the tail just hits it. And as you stack them up, it makes it bend down like this, which along with this one here, helps push them forward. So it's not just the belts that are pulling it, but it's biased forward to help pull it. So before I end the video, let's do this one more, because obviously over the years I'm probably not going to be making a lot of feeders that feed bags. Well, not on a regular basis, but I get calls every day for all kinds of things, from die cut pieces to odd pieces, and we'll see. All right, let's see where we're at. Let's speed it up a little bit this time. Aha. And one goes crooked. No doubles. And there at the end, these skewed forward. So we're going to need, and that was running fast. And it didn't do that to us on any of the other ones. That's just when we sped it up. Now the customer's not running that fast, so I don't need to worry about that. But I always like to run things way differently and faster than they want. So once I get off the video, I'm going to extend the arm here and move this out, slant a little bit, and just run it faster and just see how that looks. I also am not sure I need this particular friction foot here. I think we only need one. But it wasn't giving us problems, so I left it alone. Very good. This is Brent Barnhart with Cuefeed. So you can feed big, thick, padded bags. Okay, I'm back. I went ahead and added the little longer arm here so we could get it around the corner to tip it, and adjusted it. Let's just see kind of where we're at now. We're running pretty fast. I was trying to get the last ones to run out straight, a little straighter than they were. Just curious. Now, because I have these under here lifting it up, it's not making good contact with the belt. Watch. It doesn't take much to make it go again. It just got hung up. And every bag went through straight. Now you might say, well, you had to bump it with your hand one time. What if I'm down there on another machine? Yeah, I agree. That's a problem. So, obviously, you have to make a couple slight adjustments here. Not much, because that was good, but just enough that they're not holding up on it so much that the belts don't grab. Now there is one other option. This machine doesn't, they'd have to wire it in. Most machines, you can just buy the add-on, but I do have a shaker that vibrates. It vibrates the tail of the sheet, and the vibration, it excites the sheet, it's called. It excites it so that it will feed, it helps it feed because of the vibration. It's just not sitting there. The vibrations gives the paper some movement. It kind of takes the place of my hand swatting it. But I don't see this being an application for that. Now, for some of you that may have skipped ahead in the video, you may see every once in a while where the bag flicks up over here. That's because I ran these bags through so many times, they're no longer stiff. The fibers have gotten weak. So I can't help that, but there's no reason for me to readjust the machine or it's not going to feed correctly. But that wouldn't matter anyways, even if it did it on their machine, because it lays right back down as it goes. So okay, here we go. And I'm looking at it here. I'm going to adjust this back rod a little bit so it's not under the sheet so much. A little bit steeper so it angles it down, but it's still lifting it up. All right, let's see how we do. I'm going to speed it up even a little more. Maybe somebody wants to buy one to do batching. Every bag fed perfectly. One thing you may notice on my videos is I don't go around splicing and editing them. If I'm jogging something up by hand and I drop it on the floor in a big pile by accident, well, oops, you know, butterfingers. I got a lot to do. I don't spend tons of time editing these videos. I load it. If there's a mistake, I'll try to show you why it was a mistake. I'll try to show you the adjustment, and then I'll do it again. So what we've covered here is this has got some specialized back supports here for the bags in lots of positions with all the knuckles here. I know that may seem confusing, but it's not. It's just a matter of loading it up and looking at it and asking yourself, what's it doing? But in this case, for this customer, I will take some measurements on these so I know exactly how I put these, including this and the spacings, and how far up and down these were, so I know what all these are, so that they can get off to a relatively quick start. Then from there, they can make some adjustments on their own as they need. But this is real close. I'm pleased. I'm pleased with this. So I don't know if there's anything else to add. Brent Barnhart, Cuefeed. Okay, I took some notes here on setup because I spent a lot of time on it and there's no reason for that to go wasted. All right, so let's start with the belts. I measured from the inside of the side frame, and on center they are 5 inches, 8 inches, 11 inches, 14 inches, 18 inches, and 21 inches. Okay? And then this left stop here, from the top of the belt to the bottom, is 1 inch. 1 inch from the top of this to the bottom. Over here, from the top of the belt to the bottom, is a strong quarter. It doesn't make 3/8, but it's a strong quarter. Okay? There. And if we go from the left side frame over, this here is at 15.5 inches, and you'll see that it's between the belts. This one over here is 2 5/8 from the outside to here. 2 inches and 5/8. The friction foot is 9.5 inches from here to here on the left one, and 18 inches from the left to this one. And you'll see that that one there is over the belt. This one here is between the belt, and I have a little UHMW guide there to help get the sheet underneath it. I just heat those up with a heat gun. They're 1/8 inch thick. I heat them up with a heat gun and bend them. And then, of course, without heat, you can bend it down as well. The hole's not in center because that was used for something else, but it works fine. I don't know that you need one here, but you could make one. I might send you a piece of UHMW. You can drill it if you want. But I really wasn't having any trouble. Okay, so also let's talk about how I set up the side guides here. All right, so let's start with this left one here, trying to see where I wrote it down at. Oh, it's 4 inches. 4 inches from the side to the middle. And then this post here is pretty much just flush. Your arms are pretty much horizontal. The right arm, the knuckles at the top. The second one, so you have enough room to turn it, is down like, I don't know, an inch and a half. These each are 9 inches. So the knuckles are all the way at the end on both. So that's easy to remember, roughly speaking. And then, so you get this set correctly. The way I have that is, it's 4 inches from the back to here and 8.5 inches from here to here. That way you can get that the same. And then this one over here is, no, I lied. Hold on a second. The side, this is 8.5. This one over here is 8.5 from here to here and 4 inches from here to here. This one here is 4 inches from here to here and 8 inches from here to here. That's coincidental that those numbers are almost the same. A ½ inch isn't going to matter. So we could almost say that this one is 4 inches over, and this one is 4 inches this way, this one is 8 inches this way, and this one is 8 inches that way, and that keeps it really simple. And then you'll have this set up just like I did, you know, so that you can duplicate it without spending too much time. I know you're skilled enough to watch it and make your own adjustments, but yeah, I wanted to record that so that you didn't have to go through all that, because when I go to pack these up, obviously they're going to be all folded up. So there you have it. I'm really pleased with this, by the way, very happy. And you can see this machine is only 15 inches, I think I told you, from front to back, versus 26.25 for my average machine, which is one of these way over here. This is the on-demand style, and it's relatively the same, except you have this whole front section here with acceleration belts for timing, which is a must for batch counting and all kinds of stuff. All right, very good.